space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrack. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, Sir Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon! Hello.
And we're here this week to talk about the latest episode of Strange New Worlds Among the Lotus Eaters, which I don't know if you guys have got any theories as to why that's the title. This one escaped me. Is it a reference to something?
I mean, it's got to be, but yeah, like
it's obviously, but I'm not sure what it's a reference.
No, me neither. At least we're all in the same boat. You know, if we were good journalistic podcasters, we would have found that out before we went live.
But we're lazy podcasters, so if anyone knows, just put it in the notes and then we don't know.
Yep, there we go. Tell us what Among the Lotus Eaters means. Before we get to that, though, we did have some... I'm sure. Before we get to that, though, we do have some sad Star Trek news this week, which was the passing of Manny Coto, who was a writer, producer, and I believe he was the showrunner in the back end of Enterprise. And it's widely accepted that when Manny Coto took over, that's when Enterprise started getting much more interesting, particularly season 4. I think he was more or less the sole creative voice for it.
And I don't think there'd actually be much argument in it that season 4 is the best episode of best season of Enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been if they got that. If they'd actually got that quality, even a season earlier, I don't think it would have been cancelled. I think he could have, like that trajectory it was on, but it was already basically cancelled by that stage. I think going into the season 4, you knew that was the last season.
Yeah, I think so. And so it is a shame. It would have been. Go on, sorry, Elliot.
I was just saying there were campaigns running all the way through season 4 to save it.
Yeah.
So it was wildly known at the start of season 4 that was last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it is a shame. Manny Coto, very good writer, very good showrunner. As I mentioned to you guys in our chat, he did the series Odyssey 5 before Enterprise, which was one of them sci-fi shows that had a major amounts of promise and got cut before it got the chance to run its course. But it was one of the first like sci-fi shows on cable. So I remember watching it and being shocked that you had these characters swearing in a sci-fi show. It was just so weird at the time, and it was planned out for like a 5-season arc. And
no,
and
it's
they had
get sent back in time by the aliens to save the world.
That's it, yeah, and it's all to do with like AI and things. In fact, it'd be quite. I imagine it plays very well today. Actually, I may give Odyssey 5 a rewatch. Actually, and he went on to work extensively in 24.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, if you look through, I've been just bringing up his IMDb just to remind me, but there was so many shows working on. So lots of 24 in multiple different roles as writer, producer, all sorts. Dexter, he worked on Alfred Hitchcock Presents, American Horror Story, Tales from the Crypt. Like really, the CV this guy has is just quite formidable. And just to have one of those shows is amazing, but to have worked on so many, like it just shows the guy had considerable legs.
Yeah, real shame. And if you can check out Odyssey 5 anywhere, if you don't fancy rewatching Enterprise, which is understandable.
I've got a funny feeling last time I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah, it most likely is on there. But yeah, that's definitely sort of a what's the word? Something gem. What's
hidden gem?
Hidden gem. That's it. Why couldn't I find that phrase? Anyway, So we'll move on to Among the Lotus Eaters.
Sorry, just quickly, a big
Cool.
salute to Manikoto there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And yeah, Among the Lotus Eaters then is our latest episode of Strange New Worlds, and largely a Pike story. We predicted we'd get more Pike this week.
He's just over COVID now, obviously.
It does look that way, doesn't it?
I'm going to buy Elliot's theory because it's like 3 episodes, which seems like about, if you think about the length it takes to film 3 episodes, it's probably about to really get over COVID. Like buffer zones on that, they didn't have any symptoms.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that theory until we're corrected. But yeah, so we do get a bit of Pike this episode. I have to say though, I think this is for me the weakest this season so far. I'm not saying it's bad; it's just okay.
For me, it's still that first episode I wasn't so fond of. I think it was a bit meandering, that first episode. But this one I like, but on a rewatch especially, I did a little bit on the first watch, but especially on a rewatch, I know so many flaws in the logic of this episode. Like the way the memory works does not make any fucking sense.
No.
Like there's a bit where Nurse Chapel says about...
It does make sense because it's space magic.
Space magic, of course, yeah. But it's like you've also got like Nurse Chapel at one stage says it's like loads of hemispheres of your brain have seriously degraded. And then she says it's like, well, we have to, we'll be fine as long as it isn't affecting anyone else. Why would you assume it is? Like you have no reason. If it's a neurological thing, you wouldn't assume that it would affect anyone else, surely.
No,
it seems the way she describes it. It doesn't seem like a transmittable thing that you'd know. Like,
yeah, but I'm thinking because they're sort of like in space and they're on all these missions and all that, they're probably used to coming across unknown diseases that affect them in strange ways.
That's true. They do come across.
So it's
okay,
one
I'll
of
give
those
you that
things
one,
that, as long as it's not one of these things that is space magic. That
but like
everyone,
if you had one person coming to sick
okay.
bay with, if you had one person coming to sick bay with a neurological disorder, I just don't think it would be what you jumped at. But anyway, like you've given enough an explanation. I could flange that one. But there's so much.
The way it's come on very quickly on her. Yeah, they've got to say this could be a case of space magic.
Yeah, basically that feels
I honestly reckon that when the Starfleet Academy and they decide that they want to go into the medical corps, that page 1 or chapter 1 is all about space magic. It's just got in big bright letters with stars all around it. Space magic.
Yeah, it's like you do your 7 years to be a doctor, and then when you get assigned to a starship, they go, right, now throw all of that out because there's these weird green things that jump up and eat your face, and yeah, so maybe it's there's like an asterisk after everything saying unless.
Because I think this is probably the most space magical episode of Strange New Worlds yet. Because I think their logic's usually been pretty okay.
Not even close, because we had the one with the Doctor's daughter when she.
That was sort of like but that was purposely.
No, that was clear. That was pure space magic.
No. But what I'm saying is, Elliot, I excuse that because it's meant to be space magic. It's meant to be a magical being, basically, like a being so beyond our comprehension.
Yeah.
This they try and do some faux logic on, so it's like unintended space magic is what I mean. I don't mind if they just say weird alien which can do anything. Brilliant. You that's all I need. Like it's a Q basically. We're dealing with a Q type situation. That's fine. But if you go, this is a disease that's got a pathology that's got a logical thing to it, and then you do this shit, it's space magic which is not intended.
Yeah,
it wasn't a disease, was it? It's radiation.
It was I'm not being funny, but I think we can all agree. We all big Marvel fans, and we have seen lots of how radiation can affect people differently to give them all sorts of weird powers and weird effects.
Okay, I'm going to say it's about staying in your lane. That's Marvel shit. That is not Star Trek. I don't want Star Trek to have superheroes either. It's just not its lane. Okay.
Well, there weren't any superheroes unless it's your superpowers forgetting things, but.
No, I'm just saying, like the gamma rays. I want to.
We know you don't like it. It's okay, and you can tell us all about it as we move through.
Oh, I'm going to say very quickly. Just, I actually quite liked the idea of it. It's just the logic of it. Just I had to switch off the logic.
Right. Okay, so we start with relationship drama, though. And we get Captain Battelle returns.
Sorry, don't we have the Ortega's... doesn't she do a log first, or is it?
Oh, she does do a log. Yes, you're right. Sorry,
because this is my first gripe. Sorry, I'm going to get in early, but right from the beginning, everything we've seen of Ortega's, she has never once mentioned. In fact, she is so enthusiastic about steering the ship. All she does every episode is say how cool she is because she steers the ship. The best thing in life is to steer the ship. What does this episode open up with? Yeah, I'm a bit bored of steering the ship. It's like, that's your whole thing, is being excited about that. Let me just start there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. I suppose you do have off days, don't you?
Yeah,
but yeah.
They could have put it in earlier that
you like doing your thing. You like doing your thing, but she maybe thinks, hold on, I never get to do anything else.
But I would like that to have been introduced in an earlier episode. So it's not just suddenly, okay, every episode I talk about how excited I am about steering the ship. This one, fuck the ship. It doesn't work. Like with Spock, they love layering and stuff about his emotions and shit.
True.
But with her, you can't spare one scene in a previous episode going, I'm just feeling a bit restless at the moment. And then you have this and it doesn't seem so jarring to me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I suppose part of that is the problem that Strange New Worlds is being more episodic, and this sort of stuff did happen all the time in Star Trek up and, the original batch of Star Trek shows where it'd be, right, we're going to have an episode where Geordie's annoyed about not getting any women. To be fair, that happened a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not...
So there's that episode of TOS where they go, Scotty don't like women this week. And you're like, okay.
Does he not like
it's Wolf in the Fold, where he gets possessed by the Ripper. And it just starts with Kirk saying to Spock, like, Scotty's really annoyed with women at the minute. And nowhere.
Doesn't he? He does reference, though, having kind of a relationship that went wrong. And, like, Scotty does get screwed over in the romance department in the original series quite a lot. So I'd say there are antecedents to that.
I think you'd struggle to find them if you watched it. I think that's the first.
But again, that was the 60s. It's different.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. But when Strange New Worlds is going to do that, sometimes you do have to have character things. It's like this week, Ortegas is annoyed. And you don't always have the chance to sprinkle it in. But anywho.
Fair.
So Captain Battelle's back. And we get this thing, she could have got promoted to Commodore, but didn't because of the nasty Vulcan from the trial. And this causes a bit of tension. Pike's do
you think Pike's logic here is bad? Because I think it's perfectly rational. It's like, I am going to screw over, like her career is legitimately getting screwed over by being in a relationship with me. If they're going to say it's his thing of knee-jerk just leaving a relationship, it should have been over something petty, surely. Because this seems perfectly logical to me. She is getting hurt by being with him. And I like her logic.
His logic is sound.
Like, if he has his logic is sound, but if he has a habit of finding excuses,
press the countdown button by accident. Apologies.
Sorry, Elliot.
No, I was.
Say that again. Sorry.
All I was saying was that if he uses his logic to find an excuse to get out of relationships, it is his sort of thing that he pushes them away.
But I got the feeling from what number one was saying, it was bullshit excuse, like he finds a reason as opposed to there being a legitimate reason. Here there is a legitimate reason. It just, again, if they're going to say that's what he's doing, it should be a really petty reason why he breaks up with her, sure.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it was he does have a legitimate reason, but he's not taking her feelings into account. Like, she's a grown-up, she's a captain, she's about to outrank him anyway, so it's not necessarily his call to make. She can say, look, you may have affected my career, but I still want to be with you,
Yeah.
So I think maybe a bit of that, rather than talking to her about it, he kind of made the decision. I don't know. But it's there to set up like Pike's sort of dilemma this episode. But before we get to that, we get the mission this week is on Rigel 7, which is a callback to the cage. That's the mission that went wrong, which is why Pike's so down in the dumps and ready to leave Starfleet.
I can't remember where we heard that from before. I looked on IMDb, which usually the trivia someone will post.
That's why I did. That's why I did it. That's why I did it on the thumbnail.
Sorry.
Have you noticed I've used half Rigel set from the cage and half from
I saw there was something different on the thing, but I didn't.
Yeah, that's why I did it. It was during the castle originally. The original map drawing on the.
Which I loved the way they made it resemble that. Like, I liked the fact that it was clearly inspired by it.
Yeah, they quite clearly couldn't use the same map page. You quite obviously couldn't do that, but they've been close enough to pay homage to the original.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
And the only sort of issue I have with it is the way it's presented in the cage is this mission just went horribly and it was awful and I'm ready to leave Starfleet over it. And because of the plot device we use in this episode, by necessity, we have to go, it only lasted 4 hours. And you're like, okay, I get that it was bad and it turned into a bloodbath, but it's like, it just seems a little like those two things don't add up. Like it was this 4 hour mission, but the state we see him in,
do you know what?
The cage just seems a bit, I don't know.
It's really funny, but I'm going to actually defend that. An episode where I've got so many gripes.
That's fine.
For me, funnily enough, I thought, I didn't realize I was trying to place Rigel 7, but so thank you. But for me, that makes kind of sense because if in 4 hours you lose like, was it 3 crewmen who just die like that? I think actually the shorter time scale makes it more impactful. If over the course of a week-long mission, 3 people get picked off over time, it's not such a trauma. 3 people
I can deal with one every 2 days, not one every hour.
Well, slightly more. Yeah, at least there's some processing time. There used to be like that where over a long time, unfortunately, some people die. But in a heartbeat, you lose 3 people. That's so
yes, no, you're right.
You've been down.
Maybe I'd have to go back and.
I did watch the beginning of the cage just to check how many people said it died.
Does it match?
It does. It matches that.
Show?
Yeah. Including
good. Yeah, maybe I need to watch. Maybe I need to watch the cage again because I sort of got the impression that maybe it took a bit longer than that, but that's probably just perceptions I've built in my head watching that episode. I don't know how many times. And
like when he's talking to the doctor in the cage, he's down about it, and it's sort of like, I'm fed up of making life and death decisions on the spot, who lives and who dies. I've just lost 3 people.
It reminds me of actually there was an episode of Quantum Leap where Sam leaps into Al and has to try and defend him.
Oh yeah,
murder he gets accused of, and there's a scene in the courtroom bit where this guy tries to time 5 minutes because the husband of the woman who's died says that he watched for 5 minutes because he's a creep, basically. But he goes and starts a timer for 5 minutes, and they go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm just showing how long 5 minutes is." And the judge says, like, I got my battalion shot out from under me in 5 minutes. It can be a second or it can be a lifetime. And I feel like this is a lifetime. Like 4 hours seemed like a lifetime because he lost so much. Quick period.
Because it went.
No, I will stand corrected on that one.
Like, to be fair, how it says this mission, how it went so pear-shaped, so badly, so quickly. It makes even more sense why he was so upset and depressed about it in the cage.
Yeah, I really like Anson Mount's acting in this because you can see he's haunted by it and that it's traumatizing having to go back there and everything. So I really like the way he plays it.
And let's face it, just having Anson Mount back was so joyful. Like, that really, like, that is what I loved about, like, you get loads of Anson Mount and he's always good value. He's doing a bit more dramatic, a bit less of the humor of Pike, which he plays quite a lot. So that was something nice and different. So there, like, for all my gripes, there was a lot to recommend. The performances and the idea of it, I really like. So
the first thing that I I do want to slag Pike off a little bit here. Maybe he is just making bad decisions, but
is it hair envy, Jim?
We're going down to the away team, and Ortegas turns up, all dressed up, like, I want to do something else.
She's been chosen for the away team.
And then when she gets there, he goes, "No, you're all right, go back."
No, that was Spock. It wasn't. Spock comes and says that
okay.
We found
the mints.
She's ready to go, and Pike's ready for her to go with him. And then Spock comes and it's like, I need you for so-and-so because of the dangers of the asteroids.
Right. Okay. That's James, me then. It's okay now.
But
no, it's okay,
it does piss me off. It does piss me off later because
I think we're going to
when Uhura starts taking sick.
Yep, that's the one.
Number one tells her to take her to sick bay. She goes, "But I'm flying ship," and she goes, "Oh, I was flying this ship way before you were."
Yeah. So why did we need Ortegas there?
So why did you make me lose out on this away mission? If you could fly it, no problem without me.
That's
I thought that was a bit iffy.
Yeah, it's just the one reason why you were kept up here. Now we don't need you for that.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, that did not ring true with me, but I'm glad you've reminded me that it was Spock that rigged, because otherwise I just thought, like, this is really cruel from Pike. Like...
No, because Spock starts apologising to her for pointing out that he needed her on the ship.
You're right.
And she just goes to him, "Not now. Learn when not to say something, Spock."
Yeah, that was really good. And there's another... They're obviously going to do something with M'Benga. Because you have this, you need a doctor, I need you. This thing about it was clearly a badass in the Klingon War. And Pike seems to be leaning on that a little bit more. So obviously that's going to pay off because we've still got that stuff from the first episode. But I like that it just got peppered into this one a little bit.
The Marvel Super Soldier Serum?
The Super Soldier Serum, which was no doubt caused by some type of radiation.
It's almost like with the Super Soldier Serum and the radiation altering people, like taking hints from Marvel, isn't it, Ian?
Well, may I start by saying shut your whore mouth, Elliot? But also, it is quite nice that they're layering in this thing about M'Benga. They're not just going to suddenly have him being a warrior in an episode. They've layered it in a couple of episodes. They've actually done some groundwork here. So it's fine to do that for M'Benga, fine for Spock. But Ortegas, no, fuck it. She just doesn't like the thing that is the best thing ever suddenly.
Yeah, but she also did want to go on an away mission. I think, if you look at it with the away mission, I don't think it's so much that she wants to go on an away mission and misses the flying. I think it's she likes dressing up.
Do you know what? I'm fine with that.
Because she gets really into the dressing up, and it's
she does.
Because they ask her about what you wear in their hat, and she goes, "The hat makes the disguise. You've got to have the hat. They wear the hat."
And she says about the recon because she's looked into the hat is significant to them.
Yeah,
and that's why, I think my problem is I'm fine with her being excited about going on a away mission because she doesn't usually get to do it. But the thing about being sick of flying seems to be set up so she can enjoy it later. It's so painfully done.
You're right.
To force the ending. That's what
this is something we've seen in Star Trek previously, though, that a lot of crew members don't get picked for away missions, and they get excited when they do go on away missions. This is something that has been seen a lot in the past.
No, but what I'm saying is I agree with that. I think her being excited to do something she doesn't usually do makes sense. Her not enjoying flying anymore is forced for the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right. So they go down to the planet, and Lan is the first one to get the tinnitus and to lose a bit of time. Now, I'll hold my hands up to this. I thought at first they were like, "Oh, is this a side effect from a time traveling last week and it's just going to be her?" I was totally wrong.
I didn't think that's cool.
That was my first thought, but then obviously it became apparent that wasn't going to be the case. But
I tell you what,
that I did like. Noise was annoying. Like really, they're not meant to be having our ears as the viewers, you know. I'm just like they could have picked any noise. Why actually hurt us?
Yeah, but that with the ringing is something that you used to get in the original series. Whenever there was a disease or sort of a tiny microscopic alien that you can't see or saw it hidden, you always got that little buzzing sound.
But the one they used never hurt my ears. This one, actually, genuinely, I was like, are they going to stop that? That is really.
I just thought it was a nice little sort of play on it that but that she's actually getting the tinnitus from it, where originally the buzzing sounds or whatever were just there for the viewer. They were there for us. The buzzing sound was to break the fourth wall.
Apart from the one where
the people in the scene could hear.
Apart from the one where people were moving at super speed, so you couldn't, or super
slow.
slow.
Yeah, but that was.
And then you could hear the buzz, and then they could hear it.
Yeah, that was because they were at super speed.
Yeah,
because everyone knows when you're moving at super speed, you buzz like a fly.
Everyone knows that.
You either buzz like, or it goes.
There was on IMDb, because I was trying to look up Rigel 7, there were a few kind of the facts, which trivia facts were very kind of like a bit of a stretch, but like one of them was apparently when they were filming the original series, Shatner got tinnitus for years after doing the Gorn episode, because he had to run through like he was being attacked by the Gorn, exploding, so many explosions gave him tinnitus. I don't think it links to this, but fuck it.
I've heard that.
And the other one which they put in was that one of the crew members who was lost is named C. Plummer. So they think this is an allusion to Christopher Plummer. Why they would do an allusion to Christopher Plummer in an episode which has nothing to do with anything that he did, fine, okay. It was all really like... And you don't include the Rigel 7 bit, the one I'm actually trying to look up.
There are people who just sit around making things up for IMDb. And... like, honestly, some of the trivia that you read, it'll just go, the guy who's the third grip in this film's called Steve. And you go, oh.
Yes. But I'm kind of used to that. I didn't mind. But I think they'd at least cover the Rigel 7 bit. That seems like a pretty... well, like, considering they covered that guff, which has nothing to do with this episode, you'd think that they'd cover the
IMDb can take user contributions, so we know what you're doing when we finish this episode.
I can't work out how to use them. I can't be fucked. But apart from that,
well, if you can't be bothered, don't slag off the people who can take the time to find out the name of a random crew member. Anyway, so they've got phasers. Turns out Zach is the king or supreme emperor, Zacharias or whatever.
He's made himself king.
Yeah, which is a good. That's an old original series trope, isn't it? Like when we had the gangster planet and the Nazi planet and the American Civil War planet.
It also feels like seeing the Delta from space seems like a very... it's sort of thing the original series would have done, like, you know, they saw something on the view screen, which is like, them dressed in Starfleet uniform or something. So the Delta
we can see a Delta in a flower bed.
That's feels very original series as well. I think.
And then, are you ready for this? They thought about this joke a lot, because they get put in a cage and Pike goes, "We're in a cage," and it's the episode The Cage. You see what they did?
Yeah. I like it.
No, I stopped making notes after that. I was like, it has peaked.
That's it. It's done.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't even notice it, but I love it.
Thank you for watching. We'll be.
Do you know what? I think I have to hand back my com badge. I didn't even notice that, but I love it now you say it. Yeah, that's
so.
Brilliant.
At this point, they all start forgetting, and again, some great acting. Like I've forgotten the actor's name, but the acting from M'Benga's brilliant. Like, he genuinely sounds scared, and he looks scared of this losing his memory thing. Like, I just think it's one of them where they're all great actors, but you don't need to be that good in that scene. But it just adds something, the fact that he was.
And M'Benga is my second favorite after Pike. I love Anson Mount's Pike is just amazing. What he's doing on screen is always captivating. I think the same with M'Benga. He's clearly a very seasoned, great actor. I think he's probably been. I'm going to have to look him up on IMDb, because he's got to have been in loads of other stuff. He
must have done theatre. He strikes me as someone who's done a lot of theatre, and he's got that voice that he's one of them people you can just listen to him reading the phone book. Like, he is a really good on-screen presence. So then Uhura gets affected. So this is when it's spread into the ship, and it's the same sort of time thing. Like, she says, "Oh, sorry, I'm just doing the thing now. And I asked you to do that 2 hours ago." And
did I send it? Did I do it?
Yeah.
And this is where, as you say, they decide the best person to escort her to sickbay is the pilot. Which
that you couldn't possibly do without.
Yeah.
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 And it starts spreading to other people on the ship as well. So we've got stuff going on the planet and stuff going on the ship. So this is very... TNG used to do that a lot, where you'd have something going on with the away team, and then the thing that TNG didn't always do was link them together. Like, you'd have random episodes where the away team would be off doing something, and then, like that one, I forget what the A plot is, but the B plot is that Wesley throws a snowball out of the holodeck and it gives everyone a sneeze or something. You know, but it's got nothing to do with what the A plot is. But at least this one...
I know which episode you mean.
It's an early one. It's... Yeah. Is it that stupid one with the Society of Women? Where that it's stupid because there's a Society of Women. It's stupid because it's stupid. One. Yeah. I think maybe it's that episode.
Do you know what? I mean, I think this is technically all A plot, really, because it's all centered around the same thing. Yeah, they're going on parallel kind of missions, if you like, on the ground and in the sky. But
it's all at the same time.
Yeah, it's very rare you get all A plot in Star Trek.
Yeah, and I like some of the stuff they drop in about. I know the idea of well, you've got this society who forget everything every night. Yes, it's silly, and how
and
could
the guy's
it
just cool with it. Apparently, the whole society's just cool with it.
They're fine with it. But go on. Sorry,
we remember important things like how to walk and eat and talk,
and any of the things. Depending on what the plot needs at any given moment, it might have different powers. This thing.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They've obviously got to remember who they're married to and all that, because they've got kids. The planet reproduces. Unless they have one night stands all the time, they've developed.
Yeah, maybe. Really... Well, they've got the names written on the side of the house, haven't they? So they go, it's on my tattoo, so that's my house, and she's got the tattoo, so it must be her house as well.
Yeah. Must be.
Yeah, I mean, but there's things like when Mbenga picks up he instinctively knows to give medical treatment.
Yeah.
Yet when Ortega's is on the bridge and she's sat at her station, which later on in the episode she goes to and goes, I instinctively know how to use this. But when she loses her memory and she's sat right in front of it, she doesn't. Why?
Yeah,
that could be just the overpowering thing of the memory loss and sort of.
No. They clearly say they don't say anything about when the memory loss first hits you and hits you worse.
They do, because when they're in the cage, he has to save them. There's the old man by saying they've had a really rough forgetting.
Oh, he does. He says
but they don't link it to the first forgetting. They just say they've had a rough forgetting.
Yeah,
it just seems very convenient.
Yeah,
it seems very convenient. Everyone on the bridge.
There's no one there who's had a forgetting before to sort of be there with them as the forgetting.
Yeah, but again, there's no. They didn't really land that. They say they had a rough forgetting.
You just missed it.
No,
you forgot it.
You forgot to watch that bit.
He just says you've had rough forgetting. Not everyone, when they first forget, they forget really badly or they forget worse. They say that you remember your trait. And Mbenga's just had his first forgetting, yet he still knows how to do his medical shit.
True. So, now, I think what it is, it's like sometimes most of the time when you're having a drink, most of the time, you do remember the basic things like how to walk. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, sometimes you do suddenly forget.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's like that. I don't know. But I do like the idea that they have tried to engage with this idea, like how do we have markers? And it's like, right, we've got totems, we've got tattoos, and so it's like, okay, they're exploring some ideas about how you could potentially make this work.
So I assume as soon as they have a baby, they must tattoo it immediately.
They'd have to, yeah. Yeah, you definitely would have to.
Tattooing babies, yeah, that's good, yeah. Or leave themselves a memo on the arm going, you got the baby who's dressed like this today.
Yeah, but
so they've got to have different outfits, like tattooed across.
Like Spock says that, later though, that he forget, because he has everyone who hasn't forgotten yet, he hands them a pad with who they are.
Yeah, which they can't read suddenly later. Which Spock, if it's in a language which they don't all speak without the universal translator, Spock would know that, and so we'd make sure it was in the relevant language. Which doesn't really make any sense, because why is the universal translator down anyway? Like, there's no reason why they can't read the pads later. What, they can't read now? Which they just said that they've got their basic abilities like walking, talking, and reading surely would be one of those.
Again, though, sometimes when you have a drink, most of the time when you have a drink, you can read. Sometimes you can.
Never happened to me. I've never not been able to read when I'm drunk.
Oh, we'll see.
That happens.
All right.
So,
Anyway. Sometimes the words were moving, but I could read it still.
I thought there was a clever thing to do here where Chapel, when she's explaining it, says, I could do basic things, but I couldn't perform surgery. And then immediately, M'Benga's in a position where he has to do surgery.
But he can't do it.
So I like, so I like how these parallel plot lines, one of them feeds into the drama of the other by establishing that in the on-ship plot line, and then immediately we get a payoff to it on the planet side. So I liked what they did with that. I thought that was a clever bit of scripting.
And that works to what they said, because you could do basic things, but like something complicated, like an operation. That works within the logic they've laid down. Yeah.
It does. And so then you do get some silly dialogue where it's like, I'm going back to the palace to get our memories back, because they think the memories are hidden in a box.
But they've had the forgetting by now, and the old man has told them where their memories are kept.
Oh, and might I also say, when Pike first forgets when he's in the palace with the guy, why does he forget when he's in the palace? Because I know it's starting to take effect, and the palace can take a while for its effects to, but they've just got there. It's
a good point. It's a good point.
You shouldn't forget when he's in the palace.
I don't think we can get out of that one.
Because he hasn't started the forgetting yet. So if he's in the palace,
it shouldn't affect him, and if anything, it should make it better, because we see that when he's in the palace later, he gets his memory back after a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah.
I think you have when you're on your IMDb, they have a goofs section.
Yeah.
So add that.
I haven't got the time to write all the goofs in this episode. I'm sorry, but
you have.
Yeah, I don't think
we'll just send it.
I think
we'll just send
this
a transcript.
episode is very clever because they are no goofs, because you forget about them.
Yeah, that's it. They won't remember that it was a problem. Yeah, because obviously when we're watching Star Trek, what we're watching is a dramatization that's been reconstructed from the logs.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So if they can't remember things properly, the logs are not going to be 100% accurate.
All I'm saying, this is a great pass of the captain's log, but maybe they could have done a second draft of the captain's log before they said.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, all right then. So this is when we get Ortega's big moment, which is she leaves the bridge, and see, this is something I do have a problem with, but it's a minor silly thing. So she leaves the bridge, and she's talking to the computer and blah blah blah, and it goes, "I'll show you where your quarters are." And we've seen this in TNG, though it was implied it was a new technology in TNG, but we can look past that. But I wondered this back in the TNG days as well. So Ortega goes, I want to know where my quarters are. The computer goes, okay, I'll show you the lights. What if someone else is also saying, show me where the
they show them in a different color.
Is?
How many?
Do they?
I was about to say, how many crew have we got on the Enterprise at this point? Are we still in the 200s of the cage?
There'll be something like that.
Or are we up into the 400s of TOS era?
Well, let's go in the middle and say 300.
So we're going to 300s. So we've got 300 crew members going to the computer. Who am I? And the computer is going to every one of them. You are Lieutenant, you are Commander, you are... But
no. The whole point is they don't ask her name. She doesn't ask her name once to the computer. It's only later on when the computer accidentally says it. She does, like, unless this makes you a fucking vegetable, why doesn't she ask her name? Why?
She forgot to ask her name. She meant to, then she forgot.
What I was actually getting to was that you're going to have these 300 people all asking the computer and it's telling them where to go. It's going to be like a fucking strobe in that
disco,
ship with all the lights going.
And then what do you do when they all bump into each other? You go, is that your light or is that my light? Oh, well, my light brought me around this. How do you decide whose light it is?
I think it sounds like Lower Decks need to do this as a sketch. It's just waiting to happen.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. It's like, right, we've got this amazing technology, but only one person can use it at any one time. Otherwise, we end up people just following the wrong lights. And
seeing as we're trying to come up with anything as usual to try and justify Star Trek, I'm going to say that the amazing thing about the technology is only you can see it. Like it just beams it. Like
do you mean it's a bit like? Do you mean it could be a bit like the universal translator that it's at a frequency only for your eyes?
Exactly.
Yeah, I that thought did because we are so conditioned as geeks to try and explain continuity. That did cross my mind. My headcanon when only you can see your light.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have that one then. That's what
and we'll just ignore the fact that when McCoy asks for it, the crew member goes, and as you can see, it's pointing you this way. Because she can obviously see.
Yeah, that does happen. Well, maybe because she was demoing it for Riker, she saw it, and then once Riker took ownership of it. Yeah, and also in that one, it says turn left at the end of the corridor, and Riker turns right. So, if we're gonna pick holes with that sequence, it's.
He thought you meant his right, which is. Obviously
he was thinking, because the Enterprise was flying that way and he was walking that way. So he was like, no, that's why I should always say port and starboard on ships. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, we're pretty much getting to where like the action wraps. Ortegas gets this whole, I'm Erica Ortegas and I fly the ship. And that, it's cheesy. But it didn't make me cringe. It was that close.
I actually like Ortegas as a character.
I do as well.
Yeah, I'm fine with her. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I really like about Ortegas as a character, a bit like Lan, is these are brand new characters that we have. I know we have very little about number one. We only have what happened in Page, but these are completely new characters that anything could happen to. So I like episodes where they're in because you can put this episode where Lan was wounded and could die. She could die because we have not seen her after this.
Yeah. As we know from Hemmer as well in season 1, Strange New Worlds characters can die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they there was also a nice the wrap up to Pike's storyline with the love interest and everything. I did quite, even though the reasoning at the beginning doesn't really work for me because again it seems too logical and too sensible for them to say he's just making bullshit reasons up. I do like the payoff that he kind of he does learn something through the episode, which is very Star Trek.
Yeah, he does.
And
the confrontation with Zach is pretty good and everything, where he's like, okay, I apologize for not saving you, but everything you've done since then is on you. Yeah. And it's like, that's good. That's right. It's
I
like, you can't...
for not saving you, but I actually thought you were dead and I did mourn you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the old guy who's been showing them around, who apparently, along with the rest of the planet, decided they didn't care that they lost their memories because, that's what.
Well, they forgot they were angry about it.
Yeah, so now he remembers that he's happy that he's got his memory back.
Yeah, because he was all like, I don't want my memories back. But then it's like, oh, turns out I did. So
I mean, I just wish that it would be more it made more sense to me that there was a show of power. They didn't have the option to try and rise up because, or they were stopped from rising up, at least at this time. That made a lot more sense than they've lost all their memories. The people in the panels get to keep their memories and they think that's okay.
It is said that this has been going on for 1,000 years, several thousand years. This planet has been stagnated in its development. So this planet reached this medieval time, which should be 7th, 8th century, but it reached it thousands of years before us, so they should be more advanced than us in the Star Trek universe by now.
And sorry, yeah, we should also throw out there was a lovely ending where Spock feels like it's right because of course he's human now, so fuck it. So he feels like it's right to throw the asteroid out of the course to save the planet, and just wherever it lands, fuck it. Like those people deserve it. I think that's
they throw it back into the asteroid
field.
And they don't blow it up or anything. They risk that could go into orbit of another planet.
No, but I think it's implied that whole asteroid field is possibly
the gravity of the asteroid field will more than likely keep it.
But I think it's that the whole asteroid field is probably a bit like that.
Yeah, I think so. So unless you're going to destroy all the asteroids.
And
how about a line in the captain's log?
You've got to completely disintegrate all of them and no dust or anything.
But in something like Next Generation, we've had loads of times when they've done Jean-Luc has done a captain's log, which says it's like we've posted a warning to Starfleet to stop any vessels going into this region. No mention of anything like that.
Well, they don't need to do that because they'll know not to go near the asteroid field. You don't need to say that because, we can assume because we've seen these logs in Next Generation that they'll have done that. Don't go to the asteroid field. Asteroid field bad. Rigel 7 though now good.
But Rigel 7 you might be all right still. They'll all remember stuff now, so they'll remember, Starfleet came down and we chinned them, we killed 3 of them in 4 hours, so don't take any shit from Starfleet if they turn up again.
Just a little cordon maybe around the asteroid field. I'm just saying, usually that's...
I will be honest, I think that's been a bit over finicky. I mean, we can assume that they probably put a warning.
Yeah, I guess there's just so many logic holes that I'm...
I think it's pushed you over the edge if you're getting angry about that.
I think that's one of the things that was done so often in TNG, where we'll put a warning buoy. We'll put a warning buoy. We'll put a warning buoy.
Well, why not?
Yeah, but it was always the end captain log. We put a warning buoy. That it's been done now. That we don't need that. We're intelligent enough as an audience that we don't need telling by the captain that he took sensible safety precautions at the end.
Yeah, I'm not bothered about that element of it.
Do you think maybe the real reason is that they're worried that the way we pronounce that word, they're worried about leaving boys in danger given certain revelations recently.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that was it.
It could be.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
No, I think his wife certainly admitted it on his behalf.
Well,
I haven't seen the news today.
Oh, Hugh Edwards.
Shh. Oh no, we're allowed to say that now.
I was going to say, so was it spoilers for the news?
But
now?
the police have found that there was no crime committed. That is what the police have discovered.
No, but the police fully admitted that they don't investigate crimes.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you're right. We have a police force in this country where we don't investigate crimes. You're right.
Do you know the weird bit of instant, not karma, but instant answer here is that when all the stuff with Philip Schofield happened and the researcher was 17 when he started the affair and everything, people were going well, would it be the same if it was a straight guy? Well, turns out, I mean, I don't know the gender of actually in all fairness, I don't know the gender of the person, but Hugh Edwards.
A young boy.
It was a young boy. Oh, okay, I did not hear that was revealed. Sorry. Okay, but he's meant to be.
The first part that was revealed.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
For anyone listening in 10 years' time, Hugh Edwards was a gentleman who used to present the news in the UK.
He seemed really nice, but that shows you what we know.
It is very unlikely that he will ever present the news again.
And Philip Schofield used to put his hand up a gopher's bottom while he was in the broom cupboard.
And
we have warnings.
There used to be a TV channel called the BBC, but something went very, very wrong.
Yeah, there was a blue wave which washed it away.
Yeah. Anyway, I do like that when they finally get in the box, which contains not memories, but it does have the classic tricorder, which I always like seeing the TOS tricorder.
It's nice. It's nice. A slightly slimmed down version. I like the fact that they do enough respect to make it look like it.
Yeah.
In a way which fits the modern technology.
I was just have to say, you can't have a bulky thing like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I appreciate it. I think they do a really good job of like, you can visually see the similarities, but we've kind of made it work for now.
And that shows like how our technology's come on, because there'll have been a couple of reasons. I mean, like in the 60s, you needed bigger props anyway, because the fidelity on the screen was not as good. So everything had to be big so you could see it.
In the 60s, a home tape deck was incidentally the size of the tricorder.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say. The other thing is, they had to make it believable. They had to think, right, no one's going to believe that we've got a little thing like this and it can do everything that you need it to do. So we're going to have to make them carry these big things.
Why the hell did we never get a Walkman which was dressed up like a tricorder? Why did that bit of merch never exist?
Don't know. That's a good question. I'm sure
you guys have said this, and that's all I can think of. Like,
I must admit, I had a tape recorder that had a case that wasn't far off, looking like a tricorder.
Yeah.
I never saw that bit of merch if it existed.
Now,
that was just standard.
Right.
While we're talking about old school sound systems, this is nothing to do with the episode. It's just reminding me something that annoyed me. Non-skip CD players. Non-skip my ass. They all skipped.
Sorry, after our last conversation, was that nonce-skip? Because that's
non-skip.
Right, I was going to say why they had that function. That's weird.
Yeah, wow.
Sorry, man. I'm just going to get this show cancelled, even though there's no one to cancel.
Yeah, if anyone's listening now, Retract used to be a podcast.
Yeah. The non-skip CD players wouldn't play anything by Rolf Harris.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the only way you knew back then.
Yeah. Well, on that note, whose episode do we think it's going to be next week? I actually know the answer to this because I accidentally saw a trailer.
I'm going to say her matched up with the new engineer one.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Elliot?
I haven't seen any trailers, so I'm going to say new engineer.
Okay.
In some way, because I think we're going to get more introduced to her. I think she's
I feel like we need some more of her.
I think next episode is going to be halfway through the season. And John nicely did tell us.
Episode 204. Yeah.
That will be episode 204.
Oh, isn't this one 204?
This one's 204.
This is
no,
203.
No, it's not. We've had the Klingon episode. We've had the time travel episode. We've had
the number one episode.
Number one episode, trial episode.
This is the fourth episode in
TV
series.
So this is 204. So next week, 205.
Episode 200 was the season premiere.
I thought
you meant season 2, episode 04. Is the way I was reading it, and I think that's the way.
Apologies.
Possibly that's what they mean by that episode 204.
Well, that's how I read it as well. Yeah. But we're almost in sync.
As will be episode 204 next week for the 5th episode.
It will.
But I think at the halfway point, we've seen we didn't have the new her again this week at all.
No, true.
And we had a bit of in the time travel one, a bit more. We had a little bit of a sort of introduced to who she was in the first episode. So I think we due sort of a proper episode with her.
Yeah, I think we need more.
Yeah, they haven't really used her much this series, and you need to, if you're introducing character, you need to use them quite
as I say, it'll be the halfway point next week or tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, let's find out next week.
Next day. On Wednesday. It's Thursday drops, isn't it, this year?
It is Thursday. It drops in the UK now,
thankfully. It drops everywhere at the same time, which I think is really, really sensible of a streaming company that can press the button.
It really is.
At the same time.
And if you don't want pirates, that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
You release it time and day
Yeah.
in different regions, because otherwise you're encouraging piracy. I'm sorry, even if you
Yeah.
disagree with piracy, it is lunacy to drop something, especially when they do it significantly after. There is just, you're not
Yeah,
going to get the same.
It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's very silly. Okay, so if you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, we are at RetrekPod on Twitter. We are not on Threads yet, but we may be at some point in the future.
Oh, I remember
where-
watching Threads. That was scary.
Oh, I know it was, yeah.
Yeah, we need to get on Threads because let's face
Oh, I
it.
don't know. Threads
We're
was
going down with
scary.
We're going down with Twitter. Have you been in there recently? Fucking hell.
And the thing is, if we're watching Threads, we won't want to go to Sheffield for the Madam Misfit
Yeah.
gig. So, anyway, so yes, at RetrekPod, retrekpod@gmail.com. Elliot's got Retrek Model Studios on YouTube. I've got Kingy's Toy Box, where you can see my reviews of all the main 4 Ninja Turtles at the moment from the new line. And we're working on a He-Man thing at the minute, but it's taking longer than I thought it would. And Dr. Squee, what have we got on the Dr. Squee show?
I don't know. Be honest with you, I haven't got any interview lined up. I might just do a music episode on the radio show next week. So the Dr. Squee show, Tuesday, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m, sw20radio.co.uk or drsquee.com for the video episodes on YouTube.
And remember, if you don't want to get taken off the air, use your non-skip CD player.
Yeah, it's been a long week. My this sense of humor comes out when I'm tired. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for anyone I offended.
And thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Drag off. And LA.
Fascinating.
An LLAP.